There are moments in life when you wake up and feel nothing. No fire, no drive, no direction. You look around and think, what happened to me? You used to dream big, move fast, believe in something, and now it feels like you're stuck in quicksand. You scroll through your phone, you tell yourself you'll start tomorrow, but deep down you know tomorrow never comes. Let me tell you something, you're not broken, you're not lazy, you're not lost. You're simply disconnected from your purpose. And once you reconnect to that inner power, the part of you that's hungry, unstoppable, and alive, your entire life will shift. Because the truth is, you don't need more motivation, you need to remember who you are. You know what most people do when they feel lost or unmotivated? They try to hide it. They tell themselves it's just a phase, or they distract themselves. Scroll a little longer, binge another episode, drown out that quiet voice inside that's whispering, something's not right. But that voice is not your enemy. That voice is your truth trying to get your attention. That emptiness, that fatigue, that confusion you feel, it's not a sign that you're failing. It's feedback. It's your mind, your heart, your spirit saying, hey, you've outgrown where you are. I see every human being hits that wall. It's part of evolution. You can't grow without friction, and you can't find direction without first realizing you've lost it. The problem is not that you feel lost. The problem is that you think you shouldn't feel lost. You've been conditioned to believe that uncertainty is weakness, but it's the doorway to strength. Because when you admit, I don't know what's next, that's when the journey actually begins. That's when you become available for change. Think about it. Awareness is the first step to transformation. You can't change what you don't acknowledge. If you keep pretending you're fine, you'll stay stuck in the same emotional patterns, the same routines, the same energy that's been draining you. But the moment you stop running from the truth and face it head on, something incredible happens. You begin to reclaim your power. Awareness is like flipping on the light in a dark room. The room didn't change. You just stop stumbling. You can finally see what's been there all along. Maybe it's the job you hate but keep tolerating. Maybe it's the relationships that drain you but you keep holding on to because they're familiar. Maybe it's the habits that comfort you in the moment but slowly destroy your potential. When you shine the light of awareness, you can finally see the patterns keeping you small. And once you see them, you can no longer stay the same. See, pain is a messenger. It's not there to punish you. It's there to push you. If you feel unmotivated, it means your current life doesn't match your deepest needs anymore. It's your system saying, wake up. It's time to grow. The key is to listen without judgment. Stop labeling yourself as lazy or broken. You're just being called to evolve. That's not a flaw. That's life inviting you to level up. And when you truly become aware, something else shifts. Your responsibility grows because now you know. You can no longer say, I don't know why I'm unhappy. Awareness removes excuses. It puts you back in control. That's where real power lies. In the moment you say, I might not have the answers yet, but I'm done pretending. I'm ready to face myself. See, every transformation I've ever witnessed begins with that decision, not with motivation, not with discipline, with awareness, with someone getting brutally honest with themselves. Oh, this is not who I am. This is not where I'm meant to stay. That raw, honest truth hurts at first, but it also heals. It liberates you from denial and puts you back in the driver's seat of your life. The world tells you to fix the symptoms, get more sleep, take a vacation, stay positive. But if you don't deal with the root, the feeling keeps coming back. And the root is disconnection from purpose, from vision, from self. You can't fight your way out of that. You have to reconnect. And connection starts with awareness. So take a deep breath and ask yourself, what is this feeling trying to tell me? Don't resist it. Don't shame it. Just listen. That's how you begin to shift. Because awareness doesn't just reveal pain, it reveals possibility. It shows you the gap between where you are and where you're meant to be. And that gap, it isn't there to discourage you, it's there to inspire you. It's proof that more is available to you if you're willing to see it. The truth is, you can't heal what you hide and you can't grow what you avoid. But the second you become aware, truly aware, you awaken something ancient inside you. The drive to evolve, the hunger to live with meaning, the fire that's been buried under fear, comfort, and noise. And that's when change stops being something you chase and starts being something that naturally unfolds. So if you feel lost right now, don't panic. You're not off track. You're just waking up. You're remembering that your life was never meant to be about survival. It was meant to be about expansion. Awareness is the spark that lights the way. It's the moment you stop asking, why me? And start asking, what now? because that's where your comeback begins. There's sort of the power to change your life starts the moment you become aware you can't think your way out of a slump. You can't sit there overanalyzing your life, hoping that motivation will just show up and drag you out of bed. It doesn't work like that. Motivation isn't a lightning bolt that strikes you randomly. It's something you generate. And the key to generating it is motion. Motion creates emotion. The way you move, the way you breathe, the way you use your body, it changes everything about how you feel and how you show up. When you're feeling lazy or drained, your body reflects it. You slump your shoulders, your breathing slows, your energy collapses, and then your brain says, see, I told you we're tired, we're done, we're stuck. But the truth is, that's not exhaustion, that's stagnation. You're not tired, you're understimulated. You're not unmotivated, you're disconnected from motion. You've built a pattern of stillness, and your emotions are just following the signal your body is sending. If you've ever watched someone full of energy walk into a room, you can feel it before they even speak. Their presence hits you, the way they move, the way they breathe, the way they carry themselves. That's not magic, that's physiology. You can change your state in seconds by changing your movement. You can go from drained to determined, from sluggish to unstoppable, just by using your body as the lever. Here's what most people do wrong. They wait to feel good before they move. They wait for the motivation before they take action. But that's backward. You move first and the motivation follows. You act your way into feeling, not feel your way into acting. If you sit and wait for the perfect emotional state to begin, you'll never begin. The secret is to move even when you don't feel like it, especially when you don't feel like it, because that's how you interrupt the pattern. Every emotion has a posture, a rhythm, a breathing pattern. Depression has one, excitement has one, confidence has one. Your physiology tells your brain how to feel. So if you want to feel alive again, you've got to send a new message to your nervous system. Stand taller, breathe deeper, move faster. Smile even when your mind says there's nothing to smile about. The body leads the mind. Once your body starts moving like someone who's driven, your brain begins to catch up. Think about how you feel after a workout. Your thoughts are clearer, your energy is higher, your emotions are lighter. Did life magically get better in that 1 hour? No. You changed your chemistry through motion. You flooded your system with energy. You reminded your body what aliveness feels like. That's what creates momentum. Momentum doesn't come from overthinking. It comes from taking that first physical step, even a small one. And it's not just about exercise. It's about how you move through your day, the way you walk, the way you speak, the way you use your hands. It all matters. Try walking with purpose. Try speaking with certainty. Try raising your energy when you talk about your goals. You'll be amazed how fast your emotional state transforms when you take control of your physical state. I've seen people go from completely defeated to on fire in less than 5 minutes, not because they figured out their whole life, but because they shifted their motion. They stood up, shouted with power, changed their breathing, and their brain followed. When you change your motion, you interrupt the story you've been repeating in your head. You shift from, I can't, to, I'm doing it. From, I'm stuck, to, I'm moving. There's a reason athletes warm up before a game. They're not just preparing their muscles, they're conditioning their minds. You can do the same in life. Every morning, before you face the world, move your body. Wake up your energy. Dance, jump, run, stretch. Whatever it takes to shake off the heaviness. When you master your physical state, you master your emotional state. So the next time you feel unmotivated, don't sit and think about why. Don't scroll, don't complain, don't overanalyze. Just get up, move. Walk outside, take a cold shower, do push-ups, shout your goals out loud. Do anything that changes your energy. Because the moment you change your energy, your focus shifts, your emotions shift, and life starts moving with you again. You can't wait for inspiration to move. You move, and inspiration finds you. You can't think your way to passion, you move your way there. Because motion doesn't just change your body, it changes your destiny. If you want to feel alive again, move like someone who already is. There's a point in every person's life when they look around and realize they're living below what they're capable of. They know deep down they were made for more energy, more passion, more fulfillment. But something keeps pulling them back. And that something is not lack of talent. It's not bad luck. It's not the world being unfair. It's standards. Your life will always reflect what you're willing to tolerate. You don't get what you want. You get what you're committed to. When people say they're stuck, what they really mean is they've built a life that matches their current standards. They say they want success, but they tolerate procrastination. They say they want love, but they tolerate disrespect. They say they want health, but they tolerate excuses. Every area of your life, your body, your finances, your relationships, your emotions, is a mirror reflecting what you've decided to settle for. The day you raise your standards is the day everything begins to change. But here's the thing, raising your standards isn't about wishing for more, it's about refusing less. It's about drawing a line in the sand and saying, I'm done living this way, I'm done accepting average. I'm done calling survival success, because most people are not lazy, they're just comfortable. Comfort is the silent killer of greatness. It whispers, you're fine, when you're actually dying inside. It tells you to settle because chasing more feels uncertain, but growth lives in that uncertainty. When you raise your standards, the world doesn't immediately change, ere you do. You start thinking differently, walking differently, speaking differently. You stop negotiating with your excuses. You stop looking for permission to improve. You start showing up as the person you're destined to become, not the one you've been settling for. That's the power of a standard. It's not what you say you want, it's what you refuse to live without. Most people confuse goals with standards. A goal is something you'd like to have. A standard is something you must have. A goal says, like to be fit. A standard says, I train no matter what. A goal says, I want to be financially free. A standard says, I will not live in debt. A goal says, I want a great relationship. A standard says, I will only give and receive love built on respect. The moment you move from should to must, your brain finds a way. You can tell what your real standards are by looking at your results. The life you have today is not random. It's a reflection of what you've been willing to accept. And that's good news because it means you can change it. When you demand more from yourself, your behavior aligns with that demand. You stop settling for good enough. You start chasing excellence. You start making decisions that align with your higher vision, not your lower comfort. There was a time in your life when you had higher standards naturally. Maybe when you were younger, hungrier, more daring. You expected more from yourself back then, didn't you? But somewhere along the way, the world told you to calm down, be realistic, lower your expectations, and you listened. That's when mediocrity creeped in, quietly, gradually, disguised as being practical. But you're not here to live a practical life. You're here to live a purposeful one. Every breakthrough begins the moment you decide you've had enough. Enough of the excuses, enough of the fear, enough of the stories that keep you small. You shift your energy from wanting to demanding. You stop saying, I hope, and start saying, I will. That's when the universe responds, because life doesn't give you what you wish for. It gives you what you insist upon. And this shift isn't about perfection. It's not about beating yourself up or chasing unrealistic ideals. It's about alignment. It's about holding yourself to a higher frequency where your actions match your intentions. It's about deciding that average is no longer an option. When you live by that code, you become unstoppable. Because discipline is easy when your standards are non-negotiable. You don't have to force yourself to rise early, work hard, or stay consistent. It just becomes who you are. Every person you admire, every success story you've ever heard began with one defining moment, the moment they raised their standards. They decided that what was once acceptable was no longer acceptable. They decided to change their story from, this is how I am, to this is who I choose to be. And once that decision was made, everything else had to adjust. You're capable of that same shift. The power is already inside you. It's just waiting for you to raise the bar. The moment you do, life will rise to meet you. Because the world doesn't reward comfort, it rewards conviction. And when your standards rise, your identity rises with them. As said, the day you decide that average is no longer acceptable is the day your real life begins. Everyone's chasing happiness like it's some grand destination, as if one day they'll wake up and everything will finally feel perfect. But perfection doesn't exist. And if you keep chasing it, you'll keep missing the very thing that brings life its meaning. Happiness doesn't come from getting everything right. It comes from progress, from knowing that you're moving forward, that you're becoming someone better than you were yesterday. That's where fulfillment lies, not in arrival, but in advancement. If you think about the times in your life when you felt most alive, they weren't the moments when everything was easy. They were the moments you were growing, when you were learning, stretching, improving, when you were becoming something more than you were before. Progress gives life its pulse. Without it, even success starts to feel empty. People often think they're unhappy because they're missing something: money, recognition, love, purpose. But what they're really missing is movement. They've stopped evolving. They've stopped challenging themselves. They've stopped doing the little things that make them proud at the end of the day. Because when you stop progressing, your spirit begins to suffocate. It's not depression. It's stagnation. You were never designed to stay still. You were built to grow. It's easy to confuse progress with perfection. We think, if I can't do it all, I won't do it at all. But that's how people stay stuck. The truth is, even the smallest step forward can change your entire emotional state. You don't need to leap, you just need to move. A 1% improvement every day compounds into transformation. Every time you push through resistance, every time you do the thing you said you do, you build confidence. You prove to yourself that you can trust your own word, and that's where real power comes from. Think about it. When you achieve something, how long does that high last? Maybe a day, maybe a week, and then it fades. But when you're growing, when you're expanding your capacity and stretching your limits, that feeling sustains you because your fulfillment isn't attached to an outcome. It's attached to who you're becoming. You're no longer chasing happiness, you're generating it. You can have the best job, the nicest house, all the comfort in the world, but if you're not progressing, you'll still feel empty. That's why so many people who have it all still feel lost, because achievements don't replace growth. Once you stop progressing, your spirit starts looking for the next mountain to climb. It's not because you're ungrateful. It's because your nature is to expand. That's what it means to be alive. So if you feel stuck right now, stop judging yourself and start asking, where have I stopped growing? Maybe you've stopped learning. Maybe you've stopped pushing. Maybe you've been waiting for the perfect moment to take the next step. But there is no perfect moment. Progress doesn't wait for permission. You create it through action, small, consistent, courageous action. And here's the beautiful part: progress creates momentum, and momentum builds confidence. The moment you take that first step, the fog begins to lift. You start to see possibilities again. You begin to feel hope again. Progress breathes life back into your spirit. It reignites the fire that complacency tried to smother. The biggest trap people fall into is measuring progress only by massive results. They forget that showing up today, doing one thing better than yesterday is progress. It might not look like much in the moment, but it's those tiny daily wins that transform your identity. You begin to see yourself differently, not as someone who's stuck, but as someone who's moving. That shift in identity changes everything. Because once you identify as someone who grows, stagnation becomes impossible. Don't underestimate the power of small victories. The smile you give when you didn't feel like it, the workout you finished when you wanted to quit, the hard conversation you finally had, these are the invisible bricks that build unshakable fulfillment. Progress isn't glamorous, but it's sacred. It's the evidence that you're still alive, still reaching, still hungry for more of what life can offer. Remember this: happiness is not found in achieving the goal, it's found in who you become on the way there. You can celebrate success, but never stop progressing. Because the moment you stop growing, life loses its spark. The moment you start again, everything lights back up. As progress is the heartbeat of happiness, keep it beating, and you'll never feel lost again. So what you focus on, you feel. What you repeatedly tell yourself, you become. Most people live their entire lives unaware of how much power their focus and language truly hold. They think their emotions are shaped by circumstances, by what's happening around them, when in reality it's determined by what's happening within them. The words you use and the things you choose to give attention to are literally shaping the quality of your life every single day. If you constantly focus on what's wrong, what's missing, or what's not working, you will feel drained, defeated, and unmotivated, even if 100 things are going right. Your mind will find pain because that's the signal you're sending it to look for. The human brain is a survival machine. It's always scanning for what could go wrong. But you're not meant to just survive. You're meant to live, to thrive, to expand. That's why you must train your focus like a muscle. You direct it toward what empowers you, not what destroys you. And it starts with awareness. Notice what you say to yourself when things go wrong. Most people use language that weakens them without even realizing it. They say, I'm lazy, I'm lost, I'm not good enough, I never follow through. Every time you repeat those phrases, you reinforce a state of limitation. You're telling your brain who to be, and your brain believes you. It doesn't argue, it obeys. So when you keep labeling yourself as lazy, your body says, okay, let's conserve energy. When you call yourself lost, your mind says, let's stop looking for direction. But what if you change the story? What if instead of saying, I'm lazy, you said, I'm recharging so I can strike with more power? What if instead of, I'm lost, you said, I'm in the process of finding my next chapter. Words create worlds. The language you use is the blueprint for how your mind builds your reality. Change your language, and you start to shift your identity. Think about it. Two people can go through the exact same experience and feel completely different about it. One person says, "This is the end," while another says, "This is the beginning." One says, "This is happening to me," while another says, "This is happening for me." The experience didn't change. The focus did. The words did. One person focused on loss, the other focused on growth. That single shift in language can mean the difference between staying stuck or breaking through. When you control your focus and language, you control your emotions. You can't feel gratitude and fear at the same time. You can't feel powerless and purposeful in the same moment. Your focus determines your state, and your state determines your destiny. That's why it's so important to choose your words consciously. Stop describing yourself by your limitations. Start describing yourself by your potential. Say, "I'm learning, I'm building momentum, I'm growing stronger every day," because every time you do, you're training your brain to search for evidence that supports that belief. And here's the truth. Your brain will always find what you look for. If you look for reasons why life is unfair, you'll find them. But if you look for reasons to feel blessed, you'll find those too. Focus is like a spotlight. Wherever you shine it, that part of your life expands. If you keep shining it on pain, the pain grows. But if you shine it on progress, on gratitude, on possibilities, your entire emotional landscape transforms. Even in the toughest times, you have a choice. You can focus on what you lost, or you can focus on what you still have. You can focus on fear, or you can focus on faith. You can focus on the problem, or you can focus on the solution. The situation might be out of your control, but your focus never is. And the moment you choose a higher focus, your energy shifts, your body responds, your motivation awakens. This isn't about pretending everything's fine when it's not. It's about mastering the language you use with yourself so that your mind serves you instead of sabotaging you. You can acknowledge the struggle without living in it. You can feel pain and still choose words that move you forward. That's what separates the people who stay stuck from the people who rise. Their focus, their self-talk, their inner vocabulary of strength. So the next time you catch yourself saying, "I'm tired," try saying, "I'm recharging." When you want to say, "I can't," say, "I haven't yet." Replace "I'm failing" with "I'm learning." These aren't empty affirmations, they're commands to your nervous system. You're teaching your mind to associate struggle with growth instead of defeat. Every word you speak, every thought you focus on is either building your future or breaking it down. Choose consciously, because when you shift your focus and rewire your language, you're not just changing how you speak, you're changing who you are. The words you speak to yourself become the world you live in. Choose them with power. Most people think discipline is about forcing yourself to do things you don't want to do. They think motivation is the secret, that somehow if they could just feel ready, they'd take action. But that's not how lasting change works. You don't need more motivation, you need a compelling future, something that pulls you forward so powerfully that discipline becomes natural. Because when your vision is strong enough, you don't have to push yourself, you're being pulled by purpose. When people feel lost or lazy, it's not because they're weak, it's because they don't have something meaningful to move toward. Without a clear, emotionally charged vision, life becomes a loop. You wake up, do the same things, think the same thoughts, and go to bed wondering why nothing feels different. But when you have a vision that excites you, that scares you a little, that makes your heart beat faster just thinking about it, everything changes. You stop needing to be motivated. You start being driven. A compelling future is not about achieving more, it's about becoming more. It's about finding a reason so big, so meaningful, that it gives purpose to your struggle. When you know why you're doing something, you can endure almost anyhow. The problem is most people have goals, but not a vision. A goal is what you want. A vision is who you must become to get it. A goal is on paper. A vision lives in your heart. You can tell when someone has a vision. They move differently. They talk with conviction. They wake up with direction. They don't get easily distracted because they're too focused on where they're going. Life is clarity when the future is clear. Without vision, everything feels heavier. Your challenges feel bigger. Your fears feel louder. Your energy feels lower. But once you lock in on a purpose that truly matters, the weight lifts. Your actions become fueled by something deeper than obligation. They become fueled by destiny. And you don't need to have the entire path figured out. The future doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be compelling. You only need to see the next step clearly enough to move. Too many people wait for certainty before they act, but certainty comes from movement, not from waiting. The more you move toward your vision, the clearer it becomes. Every action you take sharpens the image of the life you're creating. If you don't create your own vision, someone else will create it for you. The world is full of distractions designed to steal your focus and shape your priorities. If you don't decide what your future looks like, you'll end up living someone else's version of success. And that's the surest path to emptiness. You were not put here to live by default. You were put here to design. You were born with the ability to imagine, to dream, to create. That's your power. And when you use it intentionally, you become unstoppable. Take a moment and ask yourself, what kind of future would make me excited to wake up every morning? What kind of person would I need to become to live that life? Don't think small. Think from the truth of your potential. The part of you that knows you're capable of more, the part that's tired of playing small. Listen to that voice. That's your future calling you. That's the version of you that's already living with purpose, already aligned, already free. Your job is to catch up to that version through your choices today. When you have a powerful vision, discipline stops being a burden. You no longer need to talk yourself into doing the work because the work becomes a part of who you are. The late nights, the early mornings, the sacrifices, they stop feeling like pain and start feeling like progress. That's the magic of alignment. You're not dragging yourself through life anymore. You're being pulled by a dream that's bigger than your excuses. Every extraordinary person you admire is fueled by a compelling vision. They didn't start with motivation. They started with a picture in their mind of what life could be. And that image was so strong, so alive, they couldn't ignore it. They fell in love with the possibility. That's what drives greatness. Not the will to succeed, but the refusal to live without meaning. Your life will expand in direct proportion to the size of your vision. If you want more energy, give yourself a future that excites you. If you want more focus, give yourself a goal that matters. If you want to feel alive again, build a future that pulls you forward with passion, not fear. Because when your vision is clear, the road becomes simple. Just don't wait for the future to inspire you. Create one that does.